Hey everybody, and welcome back to another severe storm film or weather forecast. In this forecast, we have a lot to talk about, so let's get right into it. First, going to be taking a look at our temperature departures from normal here, because this is going to be a very massive weather pattern change we're going to be talking about, and this will really help to really print out the picture. You can see here pretty well above average temperatures across much of the lower 48. Not a massive heat wave or anything, but it's definitely noticeable. You get some 40s and 50s back as far north as the Great Lakes. That's pretty noticeable, and maybe even some 80s down there for the Gulf Coast regions. As we take this in towards tomorrow afternoon, we're going to be seeing a cold front traversing this area. Can't rule out some strong to severe thunderstorms across Louisiana, Mississippi, maybe even Alabama, maybe as far east as Georgia, as we head into the daytime hours tomorrow. And then look at this, all right? We have some cold air coming out of Canada. This is an Arctic blast, my friends. Watch what happens into the day on Thursday. The cold air comes from up here, and it just starts to spread out and starts to dive south and southeastward across the United States. Meanwhile, we have this going on in the west. All right, this is really going to be crucial to our weather pattern shift. Watch what happens as we head into Friday. All right, look how far north that heat is extending in the west. As far north as the Canadian prairies. And then as we take this in towards next weekend, cold air really dominating the east. It's going to feel chilly. And then over here in the west, we have this heat dome that is building from the southwest up into the Canadian prairies. And that just continues as we head into the day on Sunday. It begins to build a wall across portions of the plain states. And then it begins to shove this cold air eastward. All right, and this is Christmas Eve. We're still sitting pretty chilly across the East Coast, but look what's coming in, all right? This is going to eventually win out, and it does as we headed towards Tuesday, and then ultimately into the day on Wednesday, December 25th. All right, this is Christmas Day. We have a massive heat ridge across much of the United States. And don't say, well, it's winter, it's only going to feel like, 40 or 50 degrees. This is some serious above average temperatures for this time of year, my friends. Like nearing 30 degrees above average in these darker red areas. You could be talking about temperatures maybe even getting up into the 70s in Kansas or Nebraska, maybe even as far north as northern Nebraska and southern South Dakota. Something to keep an eye on there. All right, it's definitely not out of the question that we do get some 70s into the picture for the day on Christmas across the plain states. But watch as we head into the day after Christmas, all right? This is Boxing Day, as people like to call it here. You can see very well above average temperatures dominating all of the country pretty much at this point. Only exception is some snow showers over here in California on the mountains where the below average temperatures are. Otherwise, you see that we have a massive heat wave dominating much of the country. All right, and this isn't going to bring 100-degree heat. Like I said before, this is winter. It's going to bring 70-degree temperatures, which will make it feel like a heat wave for some areas. Especially for these areas, I'd say it's going to feel pretty hot as we head in towards the daytime hours on December 26th. And then ultimately, as we head in towards the 27th, now you're talking about almost in excess of 30-degree above average temperatures in that small circle region, always up here into Canada. That's probably going to be some 40s and 50s for you rather than 60s and 70s, but still going to be noticeable. Above average temperatures just dominating the country at this point. As you can see here, engulfing the country with heat. But here comes the interesting part. All right, this heat is not going to last forever. It does for a while. As you can see next weekend, you can see above average temperatures still sticking around for the Midwest region. But you can see some blues starting to peek back into the picture. And that's a sign that we are starting to get some storminess out of the northwest. And that means cold air is trying to poke out as well. Watch what happens as we headed towards Sunday the 29th with this heat dome still anywhere east of that line, which is going to eventually be formed as a cold front. Then as we head in towards the day before New Year's Eve, we have a massive, strong cold front punching through the southern and central plains. And behind this front, we can have as much as the opposite 10 to 15 degrees below average. So this is going to be an Arctic front that is going to bring in pretty cold temperatures behind this front. Meanwhile, you have probably 70s and 80s ahead of this, possibly with 30s and 40s behind this. It's just going to feel raw when this front moves through. Regardless, I think we would have a threat for some pretty significant severe weather if this were to happen. And this is still 300 hours out plus, so this is going to change. But man, the consistency of these models is just God-wrenching. So we need to really keep a close eye on this as we head in towards the New Year's Eve time frame here. But my friends, watch as we head in towards New Year's Eve itself. All right, here is New Year's Eve around probably 10 or 11 a.m. in the morning. Cold front is starting to move a bit further north. All right, and this is definitely rare for December, but we could have severe weather extending as far north as possibly southern Ohio, southern Indiana, and that's definitely significant for this time of year. It would likely be in the form of a damaging wind-producing squall line. But again, we're 300 plus hours out, so we can't really judge anything more than that right now. But look at this. As we head in towards the afternoon hours on New Year's Eve, cold front continued to punch through the region. Severe weather ongoing as far north as possibly Canada at this point. And then as we head in towards New Year's Day, cold air starts to settle back in, and we start to turn back toward reality across the eastern United States, as well as warmer temperatures in the west, like we've seen before. Alright friends, and now that we explained what our temperature departures look like, now let's see what that is going to do with precipitation. Alright, so as we take this into the daytime hours tomorrow, you can see here a little bit of a storm system developing here. Like I said, we have a little bit of a cold front here that could produce severe weather and rain as far north as Kentucky. Maybe some snow up here in portions of Ohio and Pennsylvania. Then as we take this into the daytime hours on Thursday, you can see here that we get that Clipper system, that Arctic cold front. It's not going to be nearly as strong as we saw before, but it's still going to be an Arctic front. We're going to have probably teens and 20s behind this compared to what we have ahead of it. And then as we take this in towards December 20th, the models are showing that we could see some lake effects breaking out across portions of the lakeshore counties, across portions of Ontario, Lake Erie, Lake Michigan, possibly Lake Superior, as well as Lake, I don't remember the name of it. I don't know why. But anyways, here you can see as we head in towards the 21st time frame, you can see lake effect snow appears to continue across portions of Erie and Lake Michigan. Meanwhile, we have our next storm system that is going to be punching in the west with some damaging winds, some rain, some snow. You have it all. It's going to be like a hurricane at times there, so be sure you're prepared for the 21st if you live basically along this area, because the wind could get pretty potent. So we'll keep you updated there. But as we head in towards December 22nd, it appears that more lake effect is just going to continue across the Great Lakes region. And then as you can see here, you can see we're finally starting to get some more action over here in the Pacific Northwest. And look at that, another atmospheric river bringing high winds, maybe not as strong as the first one will, but still some high winds, maybe a winter storm for areas of the higher elevations of Oregon, portions of Washington. You can see there as that snow just sits over there. Something to keep an eye on there. But as you can see, Clipper system starts to develop again across portions of the northern plains. And then here comes the next storm system. All right, the collision of air masses. This is going to be a weak front. However, it's going to be noticeable, especially if you live in the northern tier. You might have areas of severe weather on Christmas Eve across portions of the Arklatex region. Meanwhile, you have some heavy rain north of that, maybe some snow breaking out across the northeast, making for a white Christmas. And then as we head into Christmas Day itself, pretty much rain across this region, maybe mixed with snow. And then as we take this into the daytime hours to the day after Christmas, this is the bigger storm system. All right, you remember how I said there's going to be a lot of cold air coming out of here? You could see it very well. All right, the cold front's right here, and you can see this is probably going to cause a lot of action across the western United States with heavy mountain snow, heavy rain on the lower elevations, and possibly more wind. Yes, more wind, like we haven't had enough already. And then as we take this in towards the 27th time frame, my friends, this is when our big threat of severe weather starts to get going down there across portions of Texas. And then as we head in towards the 28th, you can see here that rain, or maybe even some wind with that, will continue to move northward. And then here comes the cold front. All right, this was a weak front. This was the beginning of it. Here's that second punch. Watch what happens with this. All right, into the 30th, we will likely be watching a storm system that'll bring heavy snow on the northern end, severe weather on the southern end. All right, now you're probably wondering, is Ohio, Pennsylvania, and these areas going to get snow? No, they're going to get severe weather. All right, look at this. All right, here's New Year's Eve around, let's say, 7 to 8 a.m. in the morning. You probably will have severe weather as far north as somewhere in Ohio. All right, it's very uncertain how far south. Maybe this could be a bit further south. But the models have been bringing this north lately, and I have a feeling it might go as far north into Canada, hence that really warm air there and that really cold air coming out. So something to keep an eye on, especially if you live in these areas. Severe weather will be very prevalent for your area. And then as we head in towards New Year's Day, we get some snow on the backside, all right? Standard for those wintertime systems. Maybe still some severe weather for areas of the eastern United States. Heavy rain elsewhere. And it's going to be windy as all heck as well. So definitely quite the storm system to keep an eye on. We'll continue to keep you posted. But for now, this is Severe Storm Filmer. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Make sure you like and subscribe if you're not already. And I also wanted to say sorry for being so absent for so long. I've just been so busy lately. But today I have had a little bit of a break in that plan streak. So thank you guys so much for watching. We'll continue to keep it posted here as my plans continue to clear out over the course of the next week or so.